If you're thinking about going on testosterone replacement therapy, this video can save you years of suffering. But before we get into that, let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Testosterone levels are down an average of 37% across all age groups compared to 30 years ago. And unfortunately, most men over 30 or 40 have low or suboptimal testosterone levels. Some of the reasons for this unnatural decline in men's testosterone levels are sedentary lifestyles, vitamin and mineral deficiencies, inflammation, insulin resistance, cardiovascular problems, environmental toxins, lack of exercise, lack of protein, bad sleep, and even a lack of sunshine. All of those things and more are factors in our current epidemic of low testosterone. With all of that going on, it's actually more common for a man over 40 to have low or suboptimal testosterone levels than it is for him to have naturally high testosterone. If you doubt this, just go to the food court at your local mall and look at the men. How many of them look lean, fit, and healthy? Not enough, that's for sure. So it's no wonder that so many men are looking at TRT as a solution to this problem. No man wants to have low testosterone and suffer with low energy, lack of motivation, low libido, and ED problems. So you might be wondering, what's the difference between low testosterone and suboptimal testosterone? And what's a good testosterone level for a man over 40? I have a pretty unique perspective on this because I help men to naturally raise their testosterone levels. Based on my experience, I consider a total testosterone level under 700 nanograms per deciliter to be suboptimal. And if it's under 500 nanograms per deciliter, you need to take action immediately to fix the problem. I like to get my clients to over 850 nanograms per deciliter because that's the level where men start to feel 10 to 20 years younger again. When a man goes from the mid 400s to over 850, he feels like a completely new man. Now, most doctors will tell you that anything over 300 nanograms per deciliter is a normal testosterone level. But they're determining what normal is from the multitude of men with low testosterone who are getting blood work done. So 300 is the bottom of normal, but it feels terrible. By the time a man's testosterone is down in the 300s, his energy levels are low, his sleep is bad, his muscle tone is down, his body fat is up, his libido is low, and his life just feels a lot harder than it should. Unfortunately, doctors don't know how to help you fix all the diet, micronutrient, and lifestyle problems that I mentioned earlier. So if your blood test comes back with low testosterone, your doctor will just give you a prescription for testosterone replacement therapy because that's the current standard of care. When a man over 40 presents with low testosterone and all the symptoms that go with it, the doctor is supposed to prescribe TRT. But there are some major problems with testosterone replacement therapy. The biggest one is that once a man is on TRT, he's usually stuck on it for life. There are two main reasons why TRT is usually a life sentence. Number one is that when you take exogenous testosterone, your own endogenous production shuts down, which makes your testicles go dormant and they even shrink and atrophy. The second reason is that none of the underlying diet, nutrition, and lifestyle factors that created the low testosterone problem in the first place are being addressed with TRT. If a man does go on testosterone replacement therapy and he decides he wants to stop, he has to work very hard to restore his natural production just to get back to the level he was at before he started TRT. And he'll still have to address all of those diet, nutrition, and lifestyle factors. I've helped a few men to get off of TRT and naturally restore their testosterone to excellent levels, and I'm able to do that because I have special methods for rejuvenating testicles and reversing testicular atrophy. Those guys coming off TRT took longer to get to high testosterone levels than most of my other clients though, because we had to restore their endogenous hormone production that was shut down by TRT. So because TRT causes that complete shutdown of endogenous testosterone production, it becomes a life sentence for nearly all men. And the hard truth is that most of the men on TRT didn't actually have to go on it. TRT should really be viewed as an absolute last resort because for the vast majority of men, fixing their diet, lifestyle, supplement, and exercise habits is going to restore their natural testosterone output back to youthful levels. The only exceptions to this are a very small percentage of men whose pituitary gland has been damaged, causing it to stop sending luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone to the testicles. But if your pituitary is still producing LH and FSH, then you can restore your testosterone levels naturally. Personally, I'm on a mission to save as many men as I can from being sentenced to a lifetime of TRT. I'm passionate about this because 10 years ago, my health and testosterone levels were at absolute rock bottom. My testosterone was a mere 307 nanograms per deciliter, and I felt terrible. I was tired all the time, I had to take a nap most days, I'd gained a ton of weight, and my libido was in the tank. The seemingly easy answer back then was the same as it is now. go on TRT. But I decided that TRT would be an absolute last resort for me because I didn't want to have to inject myself once, twice, or 3 times a week with synthetic testosterone and take other drugs like HCG to minimize testicular atrophy. I also balked at the fact that some men who are on TRT still needed Viagra or Cialis to keep their sexual performance intact. Even 10 years ago, it was known that those drugs can cause heart problems and other side effects. Just think about that for a minute. A man's testosterone is bottomed out due to poor health and lifestyle factors, so he goes on TRT. But then he has to take HCG so his testes don't shrink too much, and they'll still shrink some anyways. And then on top of all of that, he might still have to take Cialis if he's one of the unlucky ones who doesn't get his libido back from the testosterone injections. 10 years ago, that sounded like a pretty bad idea to me, and I wanted a natural solution to my problem. So I put aside the option of going on TRT and I became obsessed with natural health. I studied and tested everything I could related to diet, supplements, exercise, and lifestyle optimization in order to figure out how to naturally restore my own testosterone production. I knew that even if I failed to do it naturally, the TRT would still be there as a last resort, and I'm so glad I chose the natural route. It wasn't easy. In fact, it was very difficult, and it took me a couple of years to find the answers, but I made it. First, I doubled my testosterone, then I kept taking it higher and higher. And now I'm at 1,196 nanograms per deciliter, which is a pretty fantastic level. None of that would have been possible if I had just taken what looked like the easy route and gone on TRT 10 years ago. I'd still be on TRT to this day, probably trying to mitigate the side effects like shrunken testicles. And I wouldn't be standing here making this video for you. So if you're staring at the prospect of going on TRT, I urge you to wait and do more research. Because once you go down that road, it's very hard to turn back. Because here's the reality. If you haven't fixed any of the nutrient deficiencies, diet problems, and lifestyle factors that led you to a low testosterone state, then it's entirely possible that TRT won't make you feel any better. That's actually something that a lot of men who go on it experience. So I urge you to put in the work to fix your testosterone levels naturally. It might not happen fast if you're going at it alone, but you'll be much better off in the long run. So will I ever go on TRT? Well, I'm pretty sure I won't have to because my testosterone levels keep going up as I continue to improve my system. And right now at age 48, I have higher testosterone levels than most 28-year-olds. So I want you to know that you do not have to go on TRT because it absolutely is possible to raise your testosterone levels naturally. I hope I've inspired you to take your health and your testosterone levels into your own hands. And right now, if your testosterone levels are low, you're probably making one of these common testosterone killing mistakes. So click on this video to find out what those are and how to avoid them.